Alright, so we got the Rumble video recording. Gotta hit pause on this video. Just trying to finish playing that video that I had at the end of the Spider Pig video. So you know how that goes. I already hit pause, goofy. I said pause and it didn't pause. But anyways, welcome back Team DWC. It's your boy TWP Popcorn. Y'all already know what time it is. It's like 10 a.m. on a Saturday. If not, it'll be 10 a.m. on Sunday. If not, it'll be 6 p.m. Wednesday, aka another day in paradise. Shouts out to the Tech 9 merch. You know, I've been through a lot. You dig? You know, when you wake up wearing your shirt from the day before, you like, oh shit, I guess that's what was cracking. Hell, I got on the pajama pants, so y'all already know we got on the Dragon Ball pajama pants. I ain't got to show y'all all that because, you know, we ain't trying to be advertising. Shout out to the OG from the AZ. Appreciate you for being up and at him this morning. Y'all know to go check him out, see what he's got growing on. Appreciate that. Oh, that one video is doing good. It's got 370 views. How did I get put into the studio when I'm not supposed to be in the studio? I'm supposed to be going to my playlist. That way we can get to reviewing some videos while I roll up. You see, I got some broke down flour right here on my tray. Yeah, I don't smoke backwoods, but Homer likes them, so you know. Homer does this thing too. Appreciate you for coming through. Let me see what I got today. Do I got 1 minute shorts or do I got 5 minute highlights? I got the 1 minute highlights. So those ain't going to be too important today because hell, we got plenty of them. You dig? Let me see. Flip the screen. Zoom out. Boom, let's go to my to-do list. We got some good topics to cover today. You know, I'll just be sitting back here in the background talking my ish as I do, hitting pause. Y'all know if you see where the original content is coming from to go check out the full video if you don't just want to hear what I had to say about it, because you know that's technically what my channel's for. It's what I wanted to do. So to that person that asked me over on Spider Pig, why are you going live and doing this? Because I'm not just going to watch Dragon Ball content for free when I could be getting paid for it. Hell, you got to be smarter than what you're doing. It's called a system. Either you know the system or you don't. Y'all know to go hit up Pilgor. He got a lot of stuff on eBay for you these days. So if you want to add to any of your random collections, he might have you.
Yo, I've been hitting that indica strain when it gets in my brain, then it isn't the same. I'm twisting the flame. Grind up the cess is definitely beneficial for the pain. That medical chain, never synthetic, you know photosynthesis getting the blame. Blowing dough legit if you switch up your state. I load a piff and I'm drifting away when I'm out in the springs. When a mountain's a king, I'm counting the ounces they bring. They offer that kush. They blow in that bush, they bout it, no doubt it's a thing. I'm jacking the scythe. Living in Califa, Colorado over half of my life. I came from Arvada back in the day. Had a habit for packing a sack in a pipe and blowing that in. Duh. Duh.
So they're at it again. Texas is taking steps to pass one of the worst bans that will put them right up there with the most restrictive states in America when it comes to the good herb. But at the same time, they want to expand their medical program to make it more accessible for more folks. But is this even a suitable compromise? A lot of folks do not think so.
The plan lawmakers passed to ban THC products faces intense opposition.
Old
Morning,
people,
so good to see you.
veterans, sick people, regular people who need help for sleep are all going to become criminals.
The lieutenant governor mounts his own campaign to back the ban.
This is to save an entire generation of being hooked on drugs. And I need for y'all to take this story seriously.
We look at what's at stake. With the ban now in the hands of the governor, lawmakers advanced the bill to ban consumable products with hemp-derived THC. Now, it's up to Governor Greg Abbott to decide whether the bill becomes law. As opponents push for a veto, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick made a high-profile call to support the ban. On Tuesday, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick called a news conference saying he'd provide snacks and drinks, but he said they weren't.
Now, everybody needs to remember, come Monday, y'all got to be ready to start sending letters and emails to folks that ain't doing their goddamn me job. And nobody put you in office for you not to work, because we going to start talking about that part of the game, right? Hell, people who ain't doing their damn job. We going to have job audits coming up. Every time I hear some bullshit, I'm going to be putting people on blast. Y'all voted for this person? Y'all voted for this? Or did y'all not vote for this? Because if you didn't vote for this shit, we going to have to get that shit the fuck up out of here. Because, it's too much going on in 2025 to be having problems that we can't be solving.
Weren't meant to consume.
So this is everything you can buy at a smoke shop and a vape shop that will either cause potentially paranoia, schizophrenia.
Now, at the same damn time, he just said at a smoke shop or a vape shop. So, meaning anybody going into the shop that can buy it should at least be confirmed as being grown. We ain't finna let nobody that looks under 21 come in and just buy anything. That's why we have it at specific stores. Now, if it's at somewhere it ain't supposed to be, that means, once again, somebody else ain't doing their damn job. Y'all are investigators. Investigate. Fire in the hole.
Tremendous health issues for you.
The lieutenant governor taking aim at the media, saying Texans need to see more reporting on the dangers of THC.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, this is something that we reported on just last week. As soon as this news broke, we reported on it. So make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel. But Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has a bee in his bonnet about this issue, and he's made it his personal mission to get this ban passed. Now, this proposed ban could affect thousands, tens of thousands of people, from farmers to people who work at dispos to people who work at shops, all the way up to CEOs and business owners. And we're going to hear what they have to say in a bit. But as of right now, the bill is on Governor Abbott's desk, and he may or may not sign it into law. That's led to a lot of people to plea and issue calls to Governor Abbott to veto that bill. Now, what I found pretty crazy is that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick called a press conference to invite the media and have them look at all these products, from edibles to gummies to drinks, and also try to allege that THC causes a lot of problems when it comes to health issues. But where's all the alcohol? Where's the bottles of scotch and whiskey, wine and Johnny Walker? Don't forget about the champagne. You need to have that in there too, as well as the vodka. That doesn't even have a taste. And those alcoholic beverages cause much more destruction than a lot of these products. But let's hear what he has to say.
The lieutenant governor taking aim at the media, saying Texans need to see more reporting on the dangers of THC.
The young man who was 22, who stepped in front of a train after he ate some of this junk,
Ate some
he
of
wasn't a
this
kid.
junk.
He was an adult.
Patrick held up a bag of THC cereal bites before tossing it in the direction
Alright.
of reporters.
OG from
What
the
are you,
AZ,
crazy?
good to see you. You and Dopey
You
don't
want
work
to
too
go
hard
home and eat
today.
a bag of this tonight?
Yeah, we work
See
hard
if
every
you're here
day.
tomorrow?
Austin-based consumable hemp company Hometown Hero makes the snacks that Patrick singled out. They pushed back on his claims that people don't know what's in their products.
Flip it around and look at the ingredients, QR code, look at the test results. It's all there.
So you guys hear the types of reefer madness propaganda that Lieutenant Dan Patrick is pushing. It's absolutely crazy. And I actually did a little bit of research into that claim that he just made.
The young man who was 22, who stepped in front of a train after he ate some of this junk, he wasn't a kid. He was an adult.
Now, I personally don't recall hearing that story, so I decided to do a little bit of research to see if I can find that story and find out what actually happened. And in my research, there seems to be no credible story about this. I cannot find any reports, I cannot find any news articles, I can't find any credible sources of information that confirm Lieutenant Dan Patrick's story. In fact, according to the AI overview, there's no direct evidence linking these gummies to a specific incident of someone stepping in front of a train. So if you guys are aware of that incident or that story, please drop it in the comments so that I can find out more about it. Now, the last time that we discussed this issue, we heard Lieutenant Dan Patrick say that these products are killing the kids, and he used the kids kids as a reason to push a lot of these bans. But in fact, the only thing that he is killing is the key sector of Texas's agriculture industry. And according to this, a lot of farmers are not happy about this ban. Throw the lowlives in jail if you want to stop the bad actors. Don't take it out on the agricultural producers. 6 years ago, Texas lawmakers opened the door to a new lifeline for farmers, growing hemp. Farmers invested time, money, and land into growing the drought-resistant crop and developing the state's budding hemp industry. The same lawmakers are now slamming the door shut. All products containing any THC will soon be banned in Texas. As a result, farmers are bracing for impact as they wait to go out of business. So as of right now, a lot of these legal businesses are bracing for the absolute worst, even though their business is federally legal.
A bill that could shut down Texas's multi-billion-dollar hemp industry is getting Governor Greg Abbott's signature. Senate Bill 3 passed in the Senate late last night after minor changes from the Texas House. 6 News reporter.
Yeah, but this was before it got announced that it was finally banned, but that was only last week, so this video was in the playlist for like a couple weeks. Hell, it was, pushed back and pushed back, but now it still matters, because guess what? If they're going to ban home grows, it's another reason why you want to leave Texas. I keep telling you, they're going to make everybody move to where shit is, where you want it to be, and it's up to you whether you're going to stay and deal with the bullshit or if you're just going to move past it. Hell, get a consultation. I'll tell you where to go. Yeah, KC's got some great places. Some bad ones too, so shit, it is what it is.
Sydney Walker spoke with a local business who may have to close their doors. Sydney.
Yeah, Bailey, the looming THC ban would ban all products containing any amount of THC, a drastic change from current laws allowing products with up to 0.3%. Many hemp industry business owners, like Syntex CBD's Judy Corrigan, are already bracing themselves for defeat.
I have a tiny 0.5% chance of hope that the governor will veto it, but I think that it's already decided.
Judy Corrigan, founder of Syntex CBD, does not have a background in retail at all.
I did it because I saw what these products could do for people.
Now, she's on the verge of losing her business.
Oh, we'll be closed. We'll have to close down.
She testified in front of the Senate and in front of the House, bringing up the livelihood of her employees.
I have employees who have benefits, that they're no longer going to have a job.
She was hopeful the House would listen to testimonies and go through with their modified version of the bill, which was not a full ban.
Yeah, then at the last minute, they didn't.
She says the biggest thing that bothers her is the uncertainty for her customers.
My heart hurts for my customers who we worked with sometimes we work with them for a year to find the right thing for them. And all of that's going to be gone.
Corrigan agrees there should be more regulations, but believes stores like hers are unfairly being grouped alongside irresponsible sellers.
There is a risk, as with any substance. You want to keep Tylenol out of the hands of children.
And that right there is a fantastic point, guys. Don't punish everyone for the actions of a few bad actors. That's really not the way to go about things. But instead, everyone's going to suffer, and a lot of people who need those products are now not going to be able to get those products.
10. A looming law banning THC products in Texas could ruin a multi-billion-dollar hemp industry.
And tonight, the bill is on the governor's desk waiting for his signature. Meantime tonight, KENS 5 reporter Megan Reyna has a plea from local farmers.
So this is a production facility that can take CBD isolate and turn it into Delta 8, Delta 9, all these different molecules.
Austin Ruppel is the founder of Texas Pure Labs. This is where his team makes THC products, an industry he first got into for CBD back in 2012. But 6 years ago, he helped lobby for the farm bill that made this a reality in Texas, growing hemp. These crops are in Bergheim, east of Bernie.
We help share that it's not a scary thing if people understand what it is and how to use it properly.
But now Ruppel is having to rework his entire business model with the looming ban on THC products, a push by lawmakers who argue the hemp industry exploited a loophole in a farm bill. But Ruppel says these lawmakers have always been aware of what hemp could create.
That science hasn't changed in these molecules and how these plants work.
You're going to knock out 8,500 businesses. You're going to cost 53,000 jobs. We're going to lose over $200 million in tax revenue.
Jeff Dicker works alongside Ruppel. He says lawmakers should have been regulating from the start.
You can't get taxes from the black market. we pay a lot of taxes.
Now hemp farmers may consider ditching the crop altogether, which Dicker says is a shame since it helps save several farms across the state. But the Texas Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller said in his statement Friday that the bill is, quote,
tripping. I'm glad they vetoed that fucking bill. We can still go to Texas, just not yet. You know, gotta make sure my hemp's correctly labeled.
Everybody in New York was
won't
calling
be
to get down on
smoking
Mr.
out
Nice Guy.
that whole
We met all
part of the
kinds
highway.
of customers, like this guy here. He's what we call an enhancement smoker, because he thinks that marijuana makes every activity that much better.
Mi casa su casa.
Observe.
You're Scarface, right?
Yeah.
I love Al Pacino, man. Did you ever see Son of a Woman?
Yup.
You ever seen Son of a Woman on weed? That's the way to see it, man. It's just whack.
$60, yo.
Cool, man. I got it. Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill, man?
No, I don't know, yo.
Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill on weed? Oh, there's some weird shit in there, man. There's a dude sitting in the bushes, man. Does he have a gun? I don't know, man. I don't know. What? Red team go. Red team go. It's just some weird shit, man.
Man, you're fucking crazy, yo.
Oh, it's cool. Thanks, man. Hey, yo, wait. Dude, I'm gonna check out the stars later. It's really trippy. Especially on weed, man.
Shouts out to From the Stash. They interviewed the big homie. Yeah, good collaboration too, right?
420. Mr. Grow It. From the Stash Podcast.
This episode is brought to you by AC Infinity. Check out their Cloud Ray Gen 2 oscillating clip fan. Their next-gen clip fan has been re-engineered to provide a long-lasting motor and customizable airflow for all stages of your plant's growth cycle. It features 10 speeds and 10 dynamic wind modes to simulate outdoor airflow and links with UIS controllers for Wi-Fi app control. Click the link in the description section below so you can learn more about their Cloud Ray clip fans. And the discount code THESTASH15 works on both Amazon and their website, acinfinity.com.
Growers who are looking for that secret sauce usually are just missing something from their garden. And to help with that, we bring you the Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Stash Blend brings beneficial bacteria, silicon, seaweed, humic acid, and has enough macronutrition to help lower the dosages of your base feed too. Unleash your plant's true potential with Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Available at Growers House. On the Stash Podcast, we are back and we have a guest today. Doug Dusa, baby. What up, man?
See you, man.
What's up, man? Thanks for coming. Yes, for sure. We got to link up. We got to hang out, and it's been an epic time. Our journey's coming to an end, unfortunately, right now. But it's been a session and a half. Myself.
See, they all had first met up last year at MJ BizCon. Shout out to MJ BizCon. That's why we going coming up this next year. See who all we can run into. You dig? Because we gonna be out there kicking it. Shout out to my 40th birthday celebration. Because you know, birthday in September, but we ain't going until December. But you know, we on the way, Vegas. Shout out to Vegas. We're gonna get out there and keep it popping. That's probably where they are, given that Mr. Grower don't do too much traveling. So that's the good thing about him. He's like, oh, shit. Rob likes to travel. Pigeons likes to travel. Y'all all meet me back in Vegas, so they probably kicking it in Vegas. In the Vegas office, because the laws are at least good for travelers.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, last time we hung out, my voice was gone. I mean, even right now, I've talked to the wife. She's like, "Are you sick?" I'm like, "Nah, it's just the smoke." But at least this time I'm not on the blunts. You know, Rob had me on all the blunts last time, so voice barely made it through.
Blunt Robert was skipping you this time, but thank you for sharing the joints. Appreciate you.
Now, the joint consumption might be less for you, but that now means that our joint consumption, or did I say joints twice?
Yeah.
Blunt consumption's lower for you, but that means our joint consumption goes up.
Yes.
Because you start throwing down, and you got a hell of a roll to you too, boy. That's a beautiful joint that you pull out.
Yeah, man. I try. Give me a little fatty on there.
Hell yeah. Well, today, maybe we wanted to talk to you a little bit about hydro. Been growing for a while. It's kind of how I stumbled on you initially, even knowing you were working with Growers House.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured we could talk a little bit about some basics, getting people started, and even some of the tips for people that they really should know if they decide to get into it. Because a lot of people, like Chris himself, he just recently switched into it. They'll run into things over time that they learn that you don't see in a quick forum post or in a how-to. Maybe we'll dive into some of that.
No, yeah, for sure. Like just like you said, you don't stumble across much information on it like it is everything else. It is, I mean, it's been going on for a long time, but it's just fairly a new sort of concept and sort of content that's posted over there on YouTube and forums and stuff now. So there's a little bit more information becoming available now as opposed to, you know, earlier on. So, but it's still lacking in areas. So it's definitely difficult.
See, the bad thing about most people who grow on YouTube is they don't like to show you when their garden is fucked up sometimes. Hell, I done showed you some fucked up plants plenty of times. Yeah, you like to hear it, here it goes. Yeah, it should be fucked up around here plenty of times. Like right now, my pH pen broke. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get one next week. Or was that last week? Is what I said. I don't know. Either way, I still ain't one got a pH pen. But as soon as I do get my new pH pen and have that back rolling, then we'll be back showing grows. Because right now I ain't worried about nothing. Everything's dying, dead. Goodbye. We had some autos that tried to make it through. We had a couple make it. Small harvest on that because they were autos. The weed looked good whenever it was growing, but that was just mostly water weight. Yeah, see, it'd be that type of shit. That's the good and the bad about growing, but we show it over here because it is a process. I want you to know there's going to be some times where you have those picture perfect grows. Appreciate them. Anytime you get a picture perfect grow, yes, you better enjoy that because just know for every good one, you might have 3 or 4 bad ones on coming up. They happen, and then a couple of them back to back. You'll be like popcorn. What happened? 2024. I think I harvested twice, and I'm supposed to be harvesting every month because I got 2 different tents set up for a perpetual harvest schedule. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah, they do be hiding the bad shit from you. So that's why you definitely want to figure it out and get a consultation so then some people can actually tell you the behind the scenes stuff. That's why we don't I mean, everybody putting out them happy pictures versus letting you know what's really gonna happen. Yeah, you ain't actually got to check your pH every day, but if you do check your pH every day, guess what's gonna happen? You'll be more aware of and not have pH problems because those really suck. Hell, week 3 flower, you ain't checking pH good. Hell, you'll figure out what you fucked up on real quick. Like,
Gaining that knowledge, but going through that process, you gain a lot of knowledge. You have to figure it out yourself a lot of times and then talk to others and figure out as much as you can. So I think for me, at least, that helped me a lot with DWC. It forced me to really dive into it and learn as much as I could at the time because I was struggling first.
Bro, when I first got into DWC, I bombed on it, and then I ended up getting a grow kit, the current culture kit that was all like, just add this, keep it like this, and you're Gucci. And then I realized it actually isn't that difficult. I just did not translate my concept of growing from soil to hydro. Like just the pH difference. That was one big thing for me. Starting out, I was rocking, 6.5, maybe closer to 7. I thought it'd be okay, but it turns out not even relatively close. That was completely off.
Yeah, for sure. And I was the exact same way when I moved from soil to, because I had.
Yeah, because in DWC, you don't want to keep your pH at the maximum at 6.4. So he said he was starting off at 6.5. Now, the only bad part is when you first put some plants down and they in veg, that 6.5 won't be as bad as you think it would be. But once you get ready to flip the flower, yeah, pH is a must. It's a must. And flowering, pH, yeah, you got to keep it within range for flowering. Shouts out to them, though, because, they all got some facts.
I had like a terrible growing soil, like produced 2 grams, like it was bad. It was some autoflowers, but I had like 10 plants going in a 2x4, all 3-gallon pots. One was I harvested way too early, ended up with 2 grams. Probably would have totaled out to maybe 7 had I let it go a little bit longer.
It's like
but
one of your joints.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember like, wow, this is it. Like, I don't think this is for me. Like right in there, and I had to kind of figure out what I was going to do next. And I was like, man, you know what? I don't like the soil thing. let me try DWC. I feel like it's gonna help me a lot. I said the plants are gonna be bigger, harvest is gonna be bigger, all this, you know. So I got into DWC and it was insane. It was a huge learning curve, but like you said, I started out with that high 6.5-ish pH, and then quickly found out it's like, no, you want to be a whole point less than that. You want to be around the 5.8 range. And, you know, of course, there's going to be times where, you know, you fluctuate throughout the day or throughout the week, but, you know, overall, like you said, staying around that 5.8 is going to be good, especially, you know, going from soil. It's very different, you know, in that regard.
That's why I like his 5.8 as well. Now, how long have you been doing hydro for?
So I would say I did it for like 3 years, I would say consistently, grow, just back to back. And then now with the way my grow's set up, you know, and the way the heat is quickly coming upon us, stuff like that, you know, the heat is intense during the summer. So where I'm at, I can't really grow DWC in the summer just because the temps inside are just so high that I'm running into root rot. That's guaranteed just because my bucket temps are going to be so high. So now I leave it to the cooler months, so I'm not as consistent with growing it as I used to be. But, you know, I'm probably like 6 months since my last grow in DWC, and now I'm just aiming to do it in the cooler months when I can on a smaller scale.
That was one of my hesitations too, going into DWC, was the water temperature being too high, living in a hot area and stuff. In summertime, people just say, avoid it, only do DWC run in the winter when, you know,
Dude, it's terrible in the summer.
cooler.
It's terrible. Some people, I mean, if you live somewhere where you got nice cool temps, like room temp, year round, you're perfect. You're gonna.
Now, see, that's a good thing about here in Missouri, because my summer grows, I only have problems if I'm trying to flower and I'm being a dick and not being on my pH. So when I'm not on my pH, yeah, I have all problems. But summer grows, I can get those in easy, because hell, right now, you see I'm wrapped up because the way my air conditioner works. Yeah, the downstairs is chilly willy, but you know, hell, we got some good AC in this piece. You know, it might be a little warmer upstairs, but downstairs is perfect temp. And then I actually really have good grows in the winter because the natural cold actually just keeps my water temps and pH from doing too much fluctuating, because it'll just be cold. So then you keep the room warm, and then the water stays at damn near appropriate temperature, as long as I keep the room locked in with this space heater, because it's automatically set to keep the room right in the 70s. So versus what the air conditioner outside the room is doing. Shouts out to the green room. Now with the tents, I got to get 2 new heaters for both the tents, which I can show you how to do that in the middle of summertime, because it's a good video, right? Where you gonna find 2 space heaters in the middle of the summer? I'm gonna go straight to my hardware store, but that's another topic. You dig? Another topic. I mean, I'll drop you some gems, because we do that too.
Gonna be good to go, but like if you're out in a garage, a shed, or something like that, I know people that do it outside. I forgot the name. There's someone on YouTube. He grows DWC outdoors. I don't know how he gets away with that. Like it's just, and I'm just trying to think. Like it would. He must have nice weather, because I know where I'm at, dude, 100-degree weather sometimes. It'd be root rot in an hour.
You have to like bury that in the ground, man. That'd be a crazy
yeah, that's
one.
actually smarter.
I had a buddy, you know, when he started out, he was in the basement, so the ground was constantly cold. In the winter is when he had his biggest issues, is because he had actually raised it. The water was getting too cold. And that's the thing, is I guess depending on what you're going to do, too warm is going to give you pathogens and bacteria. Too cold is going to potentially shock your roots. And so there's that fine balance, of course. What do you guys aim for the water temperature in your reservoir?
Myself, I'm right around, I try to stay no more than, you know, like mid-70s. Like if I really want to go for around like 68 to, you know, 72 tops. But if it's creeping any higher than that, I don't want to really let it go above 75, and don't really want to let it go below 65, even though I try not to ever really go that low. Maybe during lights out, it drops to around the 65, 64 range, but usually aiming for right around 68 to 70 degrees at like peak for me.
Same thing for me. Yeah, if I'm 68 to 70 degrees, I'm really happy.
Yeah.
If it drifts outside to, you know, 65 to 75, okay. But any higher than that, and I'm trying to lower that water temperature because that risk for those fungal root pathogens.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, what do you guys do to lower the water temperature?
Let's see. Rob got on his Stoner Successful merch hat. Mr. Groves got on his Stoner Successful t-shirt. Then Rob's rocking that damn hoodie. He's like, I gotta throw in some other people's brands so I get my paycheck out of that. Hey, shouts out to him. It's that easy. The only thing you gotta do is send me a hoodie, and a little percentage, and then what I mean, we'll get your shit rocking and popping too. You dig? Yeah, y'all see these fucking short videos? That's what shorts is for. But we ain't gonna talk about that because you ain't interested in the monetization coaches that we be offering over here because you don't think that I know that. But that's another story. Shout out to the replay gang, the gang. Appreciate y'all for watching the videos. Hell, we dropped all bombs. Just like the fucking From the Stash. Great interview, man. I'm glad to see them collabing with people out here because that's what it's about. It ain't just you sitting at home saying that your plants are the best. Nah, go ahead, hit these streets, show people your plants, do you some collaborations, meet people in person because you can't be that weirdo that only sits at the house. 2025 was only a homework scheme because I knew what I had going on, so I was working from home mostly, but I still do get out. But that was the workbook type of phase. When I go back to the next workbook, y'all gonna see what time it is out here in these streets all over again because we stay active. You dig? Lights, camera, action. Hey, you singing I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Bottle hack.
Oh yeah, you tried the water bottle hack.
Yeah.
See, I haven't done it yet. I've always wanted to do it. I see you throw it in the freezer and then freeze it and just throw it directly into there.
Yeah,
into
you
the
put it
bucket.
into the bucket and try to keep the roots away from it. And
That was my concern. I was like, since it'd be maybe directly touching, and at least the bucket setup I had, I think like Hydro Bucket. I think their bucket probably better for it because they have like that little section
That's
for the
what I
reservoir
use.
extra.
Yep.
Yeah, I seen that you had that. That's perfect.
Yeah, so make it basically when I was putting them in there, it was between 77, 78, 79 degrees Fahrenheit, so I needed to drop that down, put a water bottle in, and I was able to bring it down to about 70 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit just off of one frozen water bottle. At noon, at lunchtime, I would do another one, and then before I went to bed, I would do another one, and so like 3 a day, and sometimes I got away with 2 a day, 2 frozen water bottles a day, so like, yeah, it does, it takes a little bit of labor to do it, but like, it was effective.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, especially with that opposed to like something like a water chiller. Water chillers are like, as home growers, they're not like something that's on, I mean, they're on a bucket list maybe, but they're not on like somebody's like in their cart, not most growers, those things are fairly expensive, especially for somebody that maybe like first get into it. I mean, I consider it a chiller, but I was like, I really want to invest all that in a chiller. Started thinking of other alternatives. Like I never did the, like the water bottle tech or anything like that, but I did, try to like wrap it with what is that, the insulation, try to help wrap it with that. I think that helped a bit. I try to cover because I had black buckets, so I try to cover them up that way the light's just not sitting there beaming on it. Did what I could, but it was tough, man, in the summer.
So, see, those are great points, and honestly a lot of people don't think about it. They think they just have to have a water chiller. It scares a lot of people away, but there's alternative ways, man.
So I'm curious, and as we talk about water and we talked about pH, from the outside in, hydro can look incredibly complicated. In fact, that's one of the reasons I've avoided it. If someone was going to get into hydro, what would be some benefits or something for them to consider a reason to get into hydro?
I think like the number one seller like that got me hooked and that's going to get anybody hooked, that they're going to hear is the growth. Like the growth is rapid. People...
See, that's exactly what I was feeling too, because the best thing about hydro is once you actually know how to germinate and final pot them as quickly as possible, so however you want to germinate, whether it's the paper towel, I've done direct in pot germination, which I hate that because man, you lose seeds that way, so careful. I got it down to where I got successful at it, but I do not recommend you start directly in the final pot for a DWC germination. If you want to lose genetics, I mean, if they were free or however you got them, but you don't want to invest time in doing too much of that, because ew. Yeah, I'm glad I learned quickly, especially when it costs you money. So, yeah, that's part of investing in yourself. But I've done plenty of that for you. So once you get the consultation, you get that type of information. But anyways, the best thing about it is once you get your seeds to pop, and then you actually give it some time to where you can put it right in the final pot. After that, boom, you're good. Because then the germination from seed is easy, best in DWC. You literally can sit there and watch them just go for the next 2 months. Yeah, it's straight through veg. They'll just run and grow, and like you said, the growth is amazing. And you'll mostly just be sitting back because, like I said, from seed in veg and DWC, that'll be the best thing for your growing record. You'll have all picture perfect plants at first, and it'll be the garden of your dreams. And then I'm gonna remind you, hey, don't get comfortable. Go ahead, check your pH and your water temps anyways. Make sure you throw some military grade CalMag in there, because we don't do too many feeding systems, because that's what we feed in veg. Now, if you want to be all special and go for some stuff for flower and transition to that, yeah, worry about that after you let them sit for that 2 months in veg, because guess what, you really ain't got to do that much, and then you'll have some excellent growth. Like he said, excellent. I'm talking about they're 2 months, they're fucking tall. They could be as tall as you if they actually growing good. Now if you paying attention, you then started adding CalMag after the first month, because nothing but straight water at first. You see any signs of deficiencies, just throw that CalMag, because that'll be what you need. Because I've been cheat coding it for years with nothing but CalMag. When I do have successful grows, it wasn't nothing but the CalMag. I keep telling you. Keep that pH right in that CalMag.
Could, there's a lot of different ways. You got aeroponics and stuff like that. That's another way that you'll probably reap those rapid benefits, because it's just direct access to the nutrients. It's not going through soil, breaking down and being absorbed like that. It's just constantly there, right? So I've noticed the growth to be rapid. It's true. I remember it's the fastest thing. It got me hooked on it. That was what brought me into it. That's what got me hooked on it. That's what will keep me forever trying to do it and liking it, just because the growth is insane. To go in there morning time versus nighttime and see you looking like it looks like maybe a day or two difference compared to the normal way you would grow. So the growth is definitely rapid. I think that's going to be a huge selling point for anybody, and it's different. It's a different take and a different approach than your standard setup where you're in media and you're watering from top, or however you're watering, right? You're taking away that media. I guess you can say hydrogen is a media, but it's not really. It's just acting as a base to hold the roots and whatnot. So that's going to be just a difference right there. But I think if you want to see something cool, it is worthwhile. I wouldn't say change your entire grow by no means, because you're probably going to run into a few issues. But start small, check it out, see if it's for you. If not, move on to the next thing. And I think that's my advice for every style of growing. Just try it all. Organic, living soil, synthetics, try it all, because if not, you're just going off someone else's word. And as we know it, what may work for one person may not work for the next,
So do you think could we say that faster, rigorous growth is a direct correlation to the roots being in direct contact with the nutrient solution?
I think that is a huge factor in it, and as well as especially if you're keeping everything else in peak conditions, temperatures, water level, your nutrient input and stuff like that. You want to make sure you got all that dialed in, so your plants are happily and healthy and just growing rapidly. And I think all that does contribute to the success and how rapid that growth is.
Absolutely. I think when you see the rapid growth, I think that's what gets people there the most, and it's mainly the veg time. You get this crazy explosive veg time. I've had 2 weeks before, and it's literally about half of what I do for soil. You guys notice that difference? Have you seen that in your with your plant so far? But with his setup, you've got a new genetic in there, right? You're not using, is it Chelo G?
Chelo G.
Okay, so you know how that plant grows.
Yeah, and there's a big difference with having it in deep water culture versus just in soil. Yeah. So usually, you know, the third generation, I kept it kind of squat. You know, it's a lot of the phenols people were getting there. It's a slower grower, very leafy structure, but real tight inner
Yeah, it did. I just noticed that it was really tight inner nose. That's why I was wondering. I was like, what is this right here? I was like, that's perfect for like that growth space, stuff like that. You don't really have to worry about it.
Other genetics might outgrow it, you know, but in DWC, I notice a huge difference in growth rate just from soil to DWC. It's much faster. You get to a point where I feel like it's like week 3 of veg and everything. It's explosive growth, and then it's like this certain point where it just kind of flips, right?
Yeah.
At least, you know, seedling and early veg, it was like, okay, we're getting some pretty good growth here, but like when it really starts to pack on, then it's just crazy. It blows up out of nowhere.
Exactly. Exactly what you said and what you said. Like you said, it kind of cuts that veg time in half. I remember like talking about that, and I was saying how like, you know, it'll speed up your grow entirely because of course, you know, flower's still gonna be the same time, pretty much around that 60-day mark. You know, some 70, 80, whatever, depending on the genetics you have. But when it comes to veg, you may not have. Typically, I wouldn't have to veg as long as I would unless I was growing in like trying to grow a bigger plant or something like that. But as far as like size compared to what I would normally grow in like soil or any other media, that size, I'm cutting that in half. Instead of vegging for 28 days, 4 weeks, or whatever, I'm going for 2 weeks because it's so fast, or 3 weeks, you know. And just like you said, it reaches that certain point like 2-3 weeks in, like you got like 4 or 5 nodes, and out of nowhere, you know, once you get past that like seedling stage and it becomes like a plant and really vegging and starting maturing, you think you're like heading into flower, how rapid it grows. I'm like, man, the thing's like stretching out, really growing fast. I'm like, wait, let me check my light schedule. It's like, okay, we're still in veg.
So if somebody wanted to get into hydro, never had done it before, what are some things that they would need to kind of have? What's the mindset, kind of space that they need?
I think going into it, number one, I mean, of course, when something's new, no matter what it is in life, it's always going to seem like scary outside looking in, but on the inside looking out, it's never that hard. You know, you come to find out you're capable of doing so much in life from all facets of life, right? But with this, it can seem intimidating. It is a little difficult at times, but it's very rewarding, and it is not as easy as it seems. And once you really get the hang of it, you'll really overcome all the obstacles that you faced early on, and then you'll be able to see like, okay, it was worth it. This is a fun growth style. Maybe it, you know, may not be like your primary source of growing. You may still do your other ways and whatnot, but you will fall in love with it. You will really, you know, start to like it. If not, you may not like it. It may not be for you. And what's the worst thing to happen? Okay, you tried it, you didn't like it. Okay, move on to the next thing. And back to my previous point, try it all, because you never know what you like or what you're good at until you've tried it. If not, you're just assuming that you don't like it. You're assuming that you're not going to be good at it and whatnot.
I know that there's a ton of different ways to grow hydroponic. How do you choose? Because I know, like, when I think of complicated hydro setups, I'm thinking PVC piping, some glue. You've got some kind of reservoir system. It can be complicated. So, how does someone choose what kind of system that they should try to run with?
That's a good point. I guess you really kind of,
Well, if you want to go into it, you just remember, keep it simple, because hell, you only need a bucket with a lid, a net cup, air stone if you want to rock with an air stone. If you want to grow cracky, we recommend that too. You see what I'm saying? Because you want to learn it all. So start off with the bare minimum. Just take one of your 5-gallon buckets, get a lid and a net cup. Boom. Cut the hole out for the net cup, put it down in there. Yeah, DIY, do it yourself. It's cheaper. And then you have a bucket established. Then, like he said, you take a clone. Hopefully you have a clone available, and then you put it in there, because you're going to want a plant that's already with roots to start off. So then you put it in the net cup. The roots are at the bottom of the net cup. There's water touching the bottom of the net cup, so then the roots can move down into the water, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, you're growing a plant. You see what I'm saying? So now you're like, well, damn, this clone is already X amount of weeks old, so you give it a couple of weeks to acclimate, and then depending on how good that growth is, like he said, it could just be 3 weeks of just bing. Oh my God, this plant's done took off in 3 weeks. Well, that was the good thing about starting with a decent clone because it was ready to go on its own. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good time. It's a good time. Yeah, I mean, and it's less than $20 to set up a bucket. Yeah, less than $20 to set up a bucket.
I guess it kind of depends on you, depends on your schedule. You kind of have to like compare and contrast a few different styles to see, maybe talk to other people, and because like you said, there's a lot of different variations of hydroponic. Like me, first I'm thinking like deep water culture or RDWC or whatnot. I'm thinking of that form, but then you also got like other different ways of doing hydroponics, other different flows of doing. I've seen several different customizations of it, and then what's considered hydroponic. Like I grow in autopods, or you got air cubes, or those sorts of grow trays, which I believe they're kind of considered hydro in a way, if not like a hybrid, which I think those are really cool, and those are a really good entrance into that for someone that may be like kind of like thrown off, or maybe just like hesitant on going full deep water culture or anything like that. If you want to take like a baby step into that, you can try one of those grow systems where it's like ebb and flow, it's growing through the bottom. You're going to get like that rapid growth. The roots are submerged right there and have access to the nutrients and whatnot through the water via the bottom of the tray and whatnot through wicking through the bottom. So I think that's like an entryway into maybe trying it out. You can also connect like air stones. I've seen several different builds of all those and whatnot. So I guess that's like an entryway to get into it. So if you're hesitant on it, or maybe you've already done it and you didn't have success, you didn't like it, but you really didn't like your other way of growing, you could take that step back and just try that point, like I said there. That may be like that in between and perfect little setup for you.
Solid answer. Yeah, I think a big thing people look into when they're getting hydro into their life is the cost of starting up. And DWC is pretty cost effective in my opinion. Essentially a bucket, an extra bucket you have, air stone, and a pump. And you're kind of still, you got to make some sort of net to put your stuff into. I've in the past tried to make it myself, and I cut the hole and I had my net pots go through. Fall through. I hate that, man. You guys remember that?
I've did my little fair share DIY with it and whatnot. I think it is, as far as like all the different grow styles and different things that you can build, it's one of those ones that you can get by with a little. You can build some pretty cool setups. You can build like a multi-plant setup all within the same reservoir. I mean, I may not recommend it or not, but you know, you could build, or just individual buckets. I've done that with the 5-gallon buckets, build them, drilled them, got the lids, ordered online, and just popped them on there, and we were good to go. So it is one of those things that it can be fairly cheap, and you can also go the name brand route. I'm pretty sure there's some kits out there, and they might be fairly expensive. I know there are some cool different setups, like I talked on earlier, the hydro buckets. I know they're a bit more expensive because you're buying one module, but at the end of the day, when you're going like DWC or something like that, you're going some massive plants, so you really don't need a lot. So if you got like a 5x5 tent, to be honest, you could throw one plant in there. I mean, that's a lot of space. I would say like 4, but at the same time, you could also do 2. So over the, over the length of time, you're gonna get your return of investment back for whatever you invested into it, have you gone that route. But then there's also a lot cheaper routes. You know, there's a lot of diversity that you can do with it, and there's a plethora of information at this point to help you successfully get that growth set up.
What about EC? Something that we haven't kind of dove into a pH, water temperature. EC is another thing that is a big focus when it comes to growing hydroponically, right?
Yeah.
What do you typically aim for EC or PPM? I don't know if you go by a PPM scale instead.
So at the time, I'm gonna kind of wrap my head around it, because now I go off of EC, but at the time when I was growing DWC, it was all PPM in my head, so which might have been, I don't know, I want to say it was 500 scale, but it could have been 700, but I want to say 5. I could be wrong, I'm sorry, but at the time, that's what I was using was PPM. Now I go off EC, but at that time, I was going around like 3, like maybe 300 to 400 range for like the seedlings, early veg, and then up into up until about flower we creep up to 500-600, and then tops going around like 800 ppm and whatnot. But then I started realizing I can get by with a lot little, because initially when I started out, I wasn't doing those numbers. I was going like straight to like a 800, 1,000 ppm. That's what I started with. And then I learned over time that, like, okay, these plants have direct access to these nutrients. I'm prepping so much water with DWC, I'm wasting a lot of it because I was running into issues like EC, like we talked about. The EC was stacking up because at the time I wasn't doing like a full water change or bi-weekly changes or anything like that. I was just constantly, plants, they drunk most of the water in there, let me refill it back up. So now there's already kind of a mix of some nutrients in there, and then I'm stacking on something new onto it. So I'm yanking up whatever they didn't absorb in the first place, which later on I came to learn that, I finally stuck a probe in there. I checked, I'm like, wow, we got to like 2,000 ppm in there. It was like, it like skyrocketed what was at the bottom of that reservoir. And the fact that I was refilling it, I realized like the plants, I got too much in there. I can dial it back down a little bit. A little goes a long way in DWC. And with that, like I said, with the EC stacking up, I ran into a lot of issues. I was wondering why I was seeing deficiencies. I was like, what's going on? Like, then I realized, like, okay, the plant's clearly not absorbing everything that I'm putting in there. And that's when I started to dial it back. And that's when I became to the point where I was doing the 300 to 400 early on. And creeping up to max like 800 total and throughout the grow, and having good success, and kind of just monitoring throughout the week, maybe 2-3 times, just checking like, hey, is the EC going down as the week goes on? Is the plant's really absorbing the nutrients? Do I need to make sure next feeding that I bring it down or bring it up? But usually as long as I, kind of start on the lower end, it's a lot easier to work up than back down, I feel like.
Yeah, because when you go overboard with it, correct me if I'm wrong, like we kind of talked about in the beginning of the episode, I'm on my first grow doing DWC, so it's all new to me. So you get all the answers here. But, if you're overfeeding, if you a high ppm or EC, you're not necessarily going to see like burning of the tips like you typically would with soil. Mostly see, the dark green leaves, but it's like slow of growth is mostly what you see with that. So different to look for. You're not really looking for the burning of the tips anymore as you are looking for an actual slow of growth.
Exactly, yeah. The growth will slow down drastically. It'll be noticeable because just how fast they grow, you'll pay attention to like, it's not going okay. The leaves looking a little funny. Like you said, they don't really display the same deficiencies. Yeah, they can. And I've seen it, like the the shiny dark leaves and whatnot. But it's usually just like you say, that slow growth, and maybe like some type of leaf deficiency where you would probably be thinking like, I need CalMag or I need nitrogen, but in all reality, it's just you got too much going on down there. It's just the ratio and the balance is all off. The plant's not absorbing what you're putting in there properly, and that can all be due to maybe EC input is too high, or back to pH. pH could just have been so off, or something that the plants weren't able to adjust. Like in my case, when I was constantly refilling the plants back up due to that EC stacking, my pH was lowering. So I was getting, I think at one point the pH said like 4 or something. I was like, that's the reason my plants are looking terrible. And from that point on, I actually called back to when I was doing soil. That taught me, I don't know how, but it just taught me that, I wasn't getting runoff in my soil, because at the time in soil I was just water. I wasn't getting much runoff. And then I started realizing like, hey, I need to check my runoff and pay attention to what's coming out as what's going in. And that helped me a lot, and I was able to get a successful soil run and make up to the little 2 grams from the first time.
So how do you germinate?
For DWC, I actually got a pretty interesting, I wouldn't call it interesting, but a lot of people actually comment on the way I do it, because I would see people, they germinate in maybe like a rock wool, some sort of, peat moss cube or something like that, and then they place that in their, and whether they do hydrogen or they just got one of those little cubby slots to pop it in the net pot. And I've seen that being fairly common. I've even seen people do like growing actual media and then take it out the media, wash the roots, and then pop it in there. I feel like that's a little bit extra work. But the way I did it was, I would take my hydrogen, I would first I would paper towel method or something like that, pop my beans, or just leave them soaking in water or whatever, but usually it was the paper towel. And then from there, I would fill up my hydrogen until about halfway through the net pot, dig a little bit out, get the taproot to where it's like the taproots are probably like half an inch, and then place those to where they're just barely touching that water. Leave the bubbles and everything in it. All that aeration is gonna be coming up, and it's gonna pop, and the liquid, the nutrients are gonna disperse, and there's always gonna be water touching that root, whatever. But you don't have to have it fully submerged. At least that's what I avoided doing. And then from there, covered up, and then I let it grow like that. And a lot of people found that weird. I just thought it was easier. It was like saving me steps in my head. At the time, I didn't have rock wool. I didn't have cube.
See, straight to the final fucking pot. Deuces got it. Shout out to the big homie. That's why he's the big homie. He same thing I be talking about right there. It's like, nah, I go ahead and pop them, let them get a little bit size to them, drop them right in their fucking pot. Sit your ass down. I'll see you in 2 months.
Or anything like that. And I was like, well, what's the easiest way to do it? And I was like, direct to soil. So I was like, direct to media, direct into the hydrogen. And a lot of people find that fascinating. And I was like, but then when I think about it, I was like, yeah, because there were times when I would place it in there, and like if I say I had the net pot filled too low with the net pot filled too low with the hydrogen, the water level is too high, and I place it in there and the seedling floats off into the reservoir and I'm trying to dig it out. I've had that issue before, but for the most time, we usually get the job done with that method.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Do you find when we're talking explosive growth, are you training your plants any more than you would be if you weren't? Or do you just kind of like let the plants do their own thing, or kind of moderate or mediate that in other ways?
Yeah, throughout all my grows, I kind of mix and match what I do. I don't ever really have a set routine. I change it up every time. Like, from grow to grow, I'm just like, oh, what didn't I like about this? What did I like about this? Okay, I'm going to try it on this grow. Then depending on what grow space I'm in. But mainly for like DWC, I like to grow a smaller plant count. It's just easier. Unless maybe next grow I could do 4 plants, and I could do it in like an RDWC setup, so it makes it a lot easier rather than having to mess with multiple buckets. It's all one system. With the training now, like I said, I like to do a lower plant count in DWC, so I am training more. I'm doing like 1 plant in a tent setup, maybe whether that be like a little small 3x3 tent or 2x4 tent. I only want to do 1 plant because, like you said, the rapid growth, it's a lot. It could be a lot, so you don't really need a whole lot. And then, like I said, it makes it easier on me to focus on one individual pot and plant setup as opposed to multiple. So I'll do something like a trellis. I'll try to scrog it out. I'll try to get my scrog on. But I don't think I got it down packed, man. I've been asking everybody. I was like, I got to go to scrog school a little bit. But yeah, I tried that. I like that the most. Probably trying to like trellis it out. At least, if anything, I let it grow, and then I use like a trellis for support at the minimum, because branches are just like so lengthy and whatnot. Or I've even done things like, if I'm getting nice, if I got like a genetic that's like really thick, short, squatty branches that I don't think is going to do a whole lot of stretching and is going to be able to support itself pretty good, I'm tying down to the bucket. I've done that before, but I think overall I like to train doing like the trellis. I think that's just easiest overall until like harvest, and it always makes it a little difficult, weaving plants in and out of the nets.
One more thing I wanted to ask was, we kind of touch on the conversation of flushing / leaching or weaning, or however you want to say it, when it comes to the end of your flowering. How do you go about decreasing the nutrients towards the later of flower? Does that require just water in the res? Does that require less nutrients? How do you go about leaching or flushing your plant?
Okay, that's a good question, because DWC is another thing that I learned that it's not a big deal to flush in anything. So, but I've also done the thing where in DWC the last 2 weeks I lower it, I lower it, and then the final week I throw in just plain water. And when I'm doing just plain water, tap water, whatever, I'll maybe pH it. It was like you start to see the plant, like you start to see deficiencies in that last week, especially in DWC, is direct access. So we really like the next day you're already starting to see some deficiencies. Of course, by that time everything's kind of fading, so you're kind of used to seeing stuff. But then when you actually start to see like, oh, that looks like CalMag's going on, like you can see some of those fan leaves that still remain in that time frame. But I quickly found out, like, doing a little research, came across the forum, and somebody's like, oh no, I just chop it. They were like, think about it, they have direct access to it. The moment you cut it, it's just gone. It shuts off that access. And I was like, oh, that's smart. But I was like, what about everything that's still in it? So I was like, whatever, I'll try it. I cut it, dry it, smoke it. Some of the best flower I had at that point, which I think, at the time is just me getting better as a grower. But at the same time, I didn't notice any of the harshness. At that time, everybody was talking about the the white smoke and all that. So
White ash.
white.
I wasn't gonna let that go. I can
I'm
let
glad
the
you got
comment section.
we knew what you meant. They're like, wait,
Comment section ain't having that.
what kind of smoke should we be getting, buddy?
We've been smoking a lot. That's why I'm over here.
Oh yeah, we got it in just before. And I should have like Chris said, I should have left it out, and I'm here on zombie mode right now. But no, yeah. I've tried that with the water. I've seen those deficiencies, and like I said, DWC taught me to where I don't have to flush. And what I would do is, at that point, I started to just taper down. I started really hearing about that at the time, so I was tapering down. Like I said, I was still getting the white ash. So at the time, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, it's good. It's smoking good. I'm tasting everything. Nothing's harsh about it. I don't know if I was trying to convince myself, but I really wasn't noticing anything bad about what I was doing. So then when I eventually progressed into growing in cocoa, I did the same thing. I was like, well, I found the most success. I found the most beautiful fade when I would start to taper down at the end. So I continued on that path, and I would just, taper down. And the last, really now I kind of like start tapering around like week 5, week 6. I'm kind of already gradually bringing it down up until the end. It's more drastic, where it's like at that point all inputs have been cut into like a fourth of what they would be at peak. So I found the most success with the tapering when it comes to that. But I know people do it a bunch of different ways. I've also done in DWC where I just kept everything plain, and then I would just chop it at the end. So still full dose, still full everything, and nothing about it was bad. Had people try it, didn't notice anything bad at all. So that's what led me to believe like, oh, it's not that, If anything, I think what comes down to like the harshness and everything, I think like the main proponent, and that is like if you've done a pretty decent job in the growing phase, the post growth phase, and the dry and cure, I feel like that's where a lot can go wrong, because those were the times where I did that side by side, where I harvested with tapering, and then I dried and cured, and then I didn't taper, and I would harvest and dry and cure, and then I noticed, okay, it's still the same thing. But then I realized if I would mess that dry and cure up, where I didn't dry it, I dried way too fast, because initially I was trying to dry as fast as I could, and it just wasn't getting the job done. I'm over here drying these huge plants, trying to dry them like 5 days, and I found out that contributed to a lot of like that harshness, or what I didn't like in the smoke after the fact. And when I slowed that process down, it really helped out. But overall, I think tapering, it works best for me. It gives me what I want out of it, and I would recommend that variation to people to try out. If not, keep doing what you're doing. Flush, don't flush, however you want to do it.
Proves experience is a great tool to have in your belt.
Yeah, experience is everything when it comes to hydroponics. I feel you can read it up like crazy, but trying it out is key. It really
Getting your
is.
feet wet, getting your hands dirty. That's
Yeah,
it. Heck of a discussion, man. I really think you broke that down in a way that makes it very easy to understand for anyone who's like myself, just kind of intimidated about it, not really aware about it. But you made it easy enough that someone can consume this and think, okay, I can do this, and I know that they can go follow you. Where, if they wanted to get some information?
Yeah, if you want to follow me, you can look me up, Deuce Farms, pretty much on all platforms. And once you find me on one, link in bio, you can find me on the rest of them. Deuce Farms, DUSA Farms. You should know how to spell farms. You're growing, hopefully.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Another awesome thing, obviously, is the homies over at ProMix. We wouldn't be here together if it wasn't for them.
Shout out to ProMix.
Shout out to ProMix, man. You're looking for anything soil, cocoa, they got you unlocked, best in the game right now.
They got something new coming as well.
Yeah, that cocoa, man. That new cocoa is really cool for those home growers, man. Ready to use, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I dig it.
Thanks, boys. Great happy.
Man.
See you guys. Thanks,
yeah.
Mrs. P, for the P's and Q's. We'll catch you guys next week. I'm Pigeons. That's Dusa. That's Rob. That's Chris. Peace.
Good collaboration, man. Good collaboration. I always got to see those. You dig?
Wow, that's Snoop Dogg, the Godfather. I hit that blunt, I'm going to see the Father. Damn, Earth was cool. Oh, this gas, 93 octane. God, take me now. Hey, cool it. He got another one sparked already. He being unreasonable. This beyond me. If he think I'm finna hit that blunt again, heavens no, I'm high, bucko. I'm puzzled. I'm finna give it right back to him and tell him I hit it 10 times already. I'm finna call 911 and report an attempted murder. He keep passing me blunts. He think we in a relay race. What a bummer. I'm finna put this out, and if he asks why, I'm gonna tell him I'm allergic to marijuana. Weed for me stand for with each exhale, I'm about to die. He gotta knock it off. I done already took 2 blunts. He done sparked a 3rd one. Smoke monster. I'm finna play sleep. I'm comatose. Big fella, you took that blunt to the head. Now you finna be in the nearest hospital bed. This ain't the move. I'm finna scoot. He a different breed. What up, gang? It's your boy Zah back with another banger. Hey, look, today I really want to hone in and focus on mistakes to avoid during your first selections, right? Let's assume that we've already did our research. We've been studying the pedigrees. We've been looking all around for some reputable breeders, and now we found a mom and a dad. Today we're going to focus on some common mistakes to avoid and some tips to get you guys started in the right direction. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Get out! Like, comment, share, subscribe, you heard me? Yeah, you know it. Got the leaf blower in the lawnmower. Should've been a hippie, should've been a child. Crab with no drag, another thing, don't forget to join the Discord. So, alright, gang, before we get started, I want to address some comments real quick. We got to address the comment section because I see a lot of people asking, man, you mentioned the pollen chuckers, but you don't tell us who they are. Yo, you mentioned the white labelers, but you won't tell us who they are. Tell us who they are. Put them out there, right? First of all, I'm not in the business of exposing, exploiting, I may not agree with practices of people. They may be pollen chuckers, they may be whatever, right? But at the same time, this could be how they feed their family, right? So never will I ever single somebody out or create some sort of individual list of people you should avoid, right? So, with that being said, I'm an educator. My job is to empower you and give you the tools that's necessary so you can make the right decisions. So if you are watching the videos and then you are going to do some research and looking at your scholarly articles and building on the information that I give you, right? You'll be able to determine who these people are on your own. I can't do the job for you, right? Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, man. If you appreciate the content I put out, man, make sure you like the videos and let me know what you want to see in the next one, man. Let's get right into it. All right, so, like I said, let's assume that you have already done your research. You found your mom, you found your dad. You're very excited about who they are. You're very excited about your choices, right? That's awesome. Let's say that we are in a good position and we are starting with some good, strong foundation parents. That's awesome. First questions first. Depending on the parents that you chose, the question is, do you need to isolate and work each individual parent before performing your first initial outcross? Think about it, right? You may want to take dad, create an inbred line from dad, expose some recessive traits, create your choice, right? Based on your preferences, and then separately, maybe afterward, do the same thing with mom, right? Break open the population and select based on your own preferences. And that's going to really give you a unique individuality when it comes to these two strains, depending on wherever you got them from, right? The breeders you got them from. If you want to stray far away from their work, then that's what we recommend. That's what I recommend you do. So, like for instance, Goldbeard asked me one day, he's like, Zah, man, do you think I should lean, now that I'm in my F2s, do you think I should look for traits and lean more towards dead ops or white gushers? And I said, no, neither one. I want you to create your own individuality, find your own unique, what makes it yours, and create something better than both of those parents, right? Shout out to Dead Ops, man. Shout out to Goldbeard Genetics as well and Valley of the Sun. All right. So, yeah, you want to, that's the best way you're going to be able to create your own unique individuality is by separating the two parents and working them individually, separately, and then grabbing your two choices from there and forming your initial outcross. So let's talk about some don'ts, right? Some don'ts. That was a do. Let's talk about some don'ts. Big mistakes. Huge mistake that we make during our first initial selections is to focus on the wrong trait. Traits need to be prioritized. You need to focus on the ones that are very, very, very important for the long-term goal, right? We don't want to go in there focusing our first initial selection on looks or basing it on looks, or how good the plant looks, or how terpy it is, or how frosty it is. It is true that traits are give and take. So in some cases, you may, in a generation, have to sacrifice in order to isolate something that's much more important. But you can always go back. And that's why we build up the tools in our toolbox, so that we have different tools that we can use to accomplish different goals when it comes to our unique objectives. So make sure that is super important. Don't jump into this thing trying to focus on looks or something mediocre that's not as important as resistance, right? Mold resistance, drought resistance. Those we know go hand in hand, and they typically equate to pest resistance as well, right? What are some of the traits we should look for first and foremost? You already know what I'm gonna say. Vigor, 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 vigor. Athleticism, that is
always about that
always
athleticism.
my first priority, especially
perform,
once I know I'm dealing with a stable line that doesn't contain any undesired traits. Number two, huge mistake that you do not want to make when entering your beginning stages of selection is avoiding or trying to skip past stress testing and performance testing. It is required. You cannot cut corners. You cannot skip. And my strength and performance testing starts in the paper towel. I need to see the most vigorous athletic tap roots, and the ones that are not will get called initially. So then we go into stages of stress and strength. So let's think about some of the environment, the natural environmental issues that we may come into when we think in terms of mimicking outdoors. Heat, high heat, low humidity, especially, is detrimental to a younger seedling or younger plant, right? They require humidity. So low humidity is a very good one for young. High wind, drought. These are all stress tests that need to be performed initially, and they are going to help you cull out your plants. My stress tests do all the culling for me. The weak removes itself. Only the strong survive. And these are all so equally important, so don't try to put one above the other. You must take notes It's the epitome of a successful breeding program and producing your first IBL, right? You have to document, collect data, record data, however you choose to do it. You can get on a recorder and say, hey, listen, on this date, this time, I observed this. You can write it down. If you need to write, you're a writer. If you need to put it on a board, write everything, record everything, and make sure that that data is accessible to you in the future, right? For me, a strong data program goes hand in hand with a strong cloning program, right? Cloning, we always look at it as the ability to go back in time and take whatever data we have, and be able to act on that information, right? Be able to go locate from previous, data that we collected. So, super important data collection, observations, record all your observations, and make sure that you clone along the way. And last but not least, gang, probably the most important. All right, I'm gonna say this is the most important, right? They're all super important, and they're all necessary for your breeding program. But I'm gonna say most important, top on my list, is be patient. You gotta have patience, man. This is not gonna get done overnight. It's gonna take some time, and just although you are excited, understand the length of information that it's gonna require, that you're gonna collect along the way. Understand the many tools that you're gonna add to your toolbox. It takes months, right, to go from seed to harvest. Months. So each time you're making a move, left, right, up, down, each time you are leaning towards your objective, you gotta understand that it's gonna take time to make these decisions and put them into effect. So, with that being said, you want to be concise and precise in doing all your research to know that the selections and the moves that you're making are the correct ones, because we don't have too much time to waste, although we have nothing but time, right? So be patient, take your time. Don't rush through things. When you feel as though you are needing something to do, hit your books, man. Hit your videos, hit your scholarly articles, hit your debate transcripts, right? Go get your learn on, QCE. It's about quality, community, and education, right? Make sure you are taking the education part seriously. It's super duper important, man, and make sure you're taking your time. Don't rush it. When you have downtime, educate yourself or educate others. Each one teach one. All right, gang. Hope you liked that video, man. If you did, make sure you hit that like button then, man. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe as well. I got to check the analytics, but last time I checked, only half of the people were subscribed that watched the video. So if you're one of those people, recurring viewers, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps out a ton, man. Catch me in the Discord. I've been gaming lately, so Zaza_genetics. Follow us on Twitch. Catch us on Instagram, Zaza.genetics.official. Follow us, AC Infinity. That's the family. That's our partners, man. Use code Team Zaza at checkout for a discount. And ZazaGenetics.com. That's where you can get your foundation gear, man. ZazaGenetics.com. We got the sales still up for you, so visit, take advantage, and much love. Thank you for always supporting. Thank you for always tuning in. And let's get ready for this selection process, man, until we meet again. Love y'all, gang. Come on.
It's killing my lungs, the damn is easing my brain. I'm losing control, my body's immune, it's all the same. Except for genetics, cause they got the flame. Roll up and breathe, everything you got game. But for they pass it, the cycle remains. And if you sit through them niggas ain't ready.
Straight up to Zaza Genetics.
Let's discuss my payment. That time is past. No 5,000 for you. The price is 50. How about your payment is you get to leave? Not enough. Oh, you think you can negotiate with me? I say the word, my nephews go to a certain motel, pay a visit to your daughter-in-law and your little granddaughter. What do you think happens there? Consider your position carefully.
I get my money. Or neither of us walk out of here.
I mean, you can go home, Hector. Or we can both stay here and be on crime scene.
Maybe I need the 50,000 more than you do.
You need 50,000? What you talking about, Hector?
A garden full of flowers started with some seeds, a little belief, and a little bit of dream. A lesson to be learned. I remain studious, handful of calluses, soil full of nutrients. No more gloomy, doomy chambers in my heart are roomy. That made me soft, I guess. Okay, go ahead and barbecue me. I'd really rather tzatziki, baba ganoush. Every now and then a hot wing. Now I'm not in the mood. Overstand now and vibe with me. I like to speak in layers. I'm pulling everybody up if I can reach a stair. I seen them stare and analyze like how does he compare. I keep aware and scattered out, I'm trying to be prepared. I focus on my G, breathing air, open-hearted, energy franchise. I open my own department, a striking even balance. Know the light and know the darkness. The magnetism got you searching through my soul compartments. Open my cabinets, hope will be my catalyst. Prioritizing generosity over avarice. We know the status is some people total savages. It's hard to see a future that was bright. Go imagine it. Yeah.